Welcome back. So today I'm going to talk about Florida's single family home housing market is resilient, but still there are some challenges. I'm here to dispute any misleading information about what's going on in Florida housing market. Number one, because personally I own many rental properties in Florida over the past several decades, and hundreds of my investors and students have also purchased in the best areas in Florida for many, many years. So we target very strategic markets that are have low risk and have a lot of high potential for earning good return. So anyway, suffice to say that I know the market very well, unlike many of those YouTubers out there who who are really say a lot of bad things about Florida, but it's just the key is I'm here to educate you, to inform you about what's really going on, do a deep dive, go beyond the headlines, right? You know how it is, all these doom and gloom headlines, and it's good for negative news, clickbait and all the YouTubers out there that trying to get known and get more subscribers by reporting the doom and gloom of the Florida housing market. So I'm not saying, the Florida market is amazing, but is not as bad as a lot of people have painted the picture. So without further ado, I'm gonna reference an article by Housing Wire. Again, the headline is Florida's single family rental market is resilient, but not without risk. Here it is. Florida's welcomed approximately almost 500,000 new residents in 2024, which is staggering numbers, leading the nation in net migration. Not just in 2024. Obviously, I've been around for a very, very long time, and Florida have been consistently getting net migration for the past 3 decades, as long as I've been following them. So these recent events, which I'm sure you all very well aware of, does not mean that there is a mass exodus of people leaving Florida. So it's all about it's taking a proper perspective. It's really going over a deep dive because every market is different, every neighborhood is different, every zip code is different. You can't paint the whole picture. Oh, the entire state of Florida is going under the ocean or whatever. Of course, we all know the reasons why Florida has been the top two fastest growing state in the country for a long time now because lack of state income tax, favorable weather. I know some of you dispute that. This is friendly climate or powerful attractors. So of course, there are jobs, healthcare, technology, logistics, financial services have seen strong job creation in Florida over the years. So, as a result, long term support for housing demand, particularly in the rental sector, as housing affordability continues to erode. So, the long term support for housing demand, particularly in the rental sector, this particular sentence just validates that real estate investors have done very well buying entry level homes over the years with cash flow. So there's a lot of rental demand. So landlords are doing very well over the years as long as you know what areas to buy. So that sentence just pretty much validates my optimism with respect to long-term viability of income property, of landlords doing well with cash flow because of the rental demand, and there are more and more renters are coming into the market, not just in Florida, but in all over the country in general, because of the home affordability is at an all-time low, more than 4 decades low. So we can see a lot of, renters for life in the country. So landlord will clearly stand to benefit as long as you know what you're doing, do your own research and buy in the right specific strategic market in Florida. So anyway, so Florida's demographics trends are also shifting. Of course, I'm here to report, the reality, what's going on, the challenges involved, and just to dispel any potential housing crash or doom and gloom scenario that the YouTubers out there are famous to report about the demise of Florida. Remote work flexibility, retiree relocations, and influx of younger families seeking affordable living have all contributed to Florida's rental market surge. So landlord, pay attention to what I'm saying. So there's a silver lining. There's opportunities in times of crisis. Landlords will benefit if you know what you're doing. So I'm here to give you as much information as possible for real estate investors and landlords to make an informed decision whether or not Florida continue to be one of the strongest investment opportunities for landlords for in the foreseeable future. Does that make sense? Anyway, this evolving population mix has further diversified rental demand from suburban family homes to urban single family rentals near employment hubs. So, supply constraints and investor interest. So, a persistent shortage of housing inventory remains a key driver of rental demand across Florida. Builders continue to face challenges from high land costs, zoning restrictions, supply chain disruptions, and rising labor expenses. Many homeowners, meanwhile, are hesitant to sell their properties, holding on to historically low mortgage rates secured during the pandemic. This has reduced the number of homes available for sale and kept renters in the market longer. So this paragraph, my takeaway on this particular paragraph is just that not only in Florida, all across the nation, because of these economic challenges and tailwinds, a lot of people cannot afford to buy a home, so they have to relegate into the rental pool. So again, landlord for the foreseeable future all over the country, particularly in Florida, it's going to do well, all right, if you have these long-term buy and hold strategies. And because there are plenty of renters out there that are knocking on your door to rent your property. So the imbalance between supply and demand has also prompted increased investor interest in Florida's single-family rental market. Institutional investors, build-to-rent developers, and mom-and-pop landlords alike see opportunity in markets like Lakeland, Fort Myers, and Ocala, where affordability relative to larger cities remain intact. That's where I hold my properties in inland, away from coastal areas, away from hurricane, in central Florida, really. And many of my investors are buying in a strategic locations. I know all the doom and gloom, all the crash bros out there, all the doomers, doom porn people on YouTube, they report, oh, Florida is crashing, everybody's leaving, and, all those things. While it's true only in the coastal areas, the condo markets are very adversely affected. It's been widely reported, right? We all know that about the HOA fees, the assessor assessments, and the hurricane, and a lot of those older condos are not meeting the safety standards, so they are crashing. That's for sure. And also, again, only along the coastal areas of Florida, Southwest Florida, up and down Atlantic coast, they are affected by the hurricane, and that's why you see insurance claims, insurance rates are being skyrocketed and all that. But however, again, if you buy newer single-family home for investments, also to live in the inland areas away from the hurricane, like in Central Florida and parts of Northeast Florida as well, your insurance rates are very, very low. Those new construction homes are built within safety standards so they can withstand a lot of things. And those are the up and coming. That's the future, in my opinion, of Florida investing is in the inland areas, Central Florida, where the home prices are still relatively low, and investors can cash flow with 25% down payment when they could buy a investment home in, for example, in Ocala, in Central Florida, for like $30,000 and it rents for like $1,700. So that numbers, allow you to cash flow. So that's the key, right? So, and I have a properties in Central Florida for many, many years, as well in other areas. So my insurance rates are still very, very low, less than $100 on my single family homes. So just goes to show you all the negative headlines are not necessarily true because Florida is a large state. That's right. This paragraph right here mentioned the future opportunities in the Central Florida areas, and a lot of people, smart investors, like I said, Wall Street, the hedge funds, the build-to-rent developers, and mom-and-pop landlords like you and I are still very optimistic about the future of Florida housing market as long as you buy in the right areas, right? Additionally, the rise of build to rent, which is, we involved in the build to rent communities, not just in Florida, in other markets within my network, is reshaping the single family rental landscape. Purpose built neighborhoods are gaining popularity, offering modern homes with amenities like green spaces, pools, community centers designed specifically for long term renters. So these communities appeal to families and professionals who want the benefit of suburban living without the barriers to home ownership. So once again, this paragraph, just my takeaway on this particular paragraph is that the build to rent asset model is gaining popularity, and myself and my investors are involved in this type of emerging asset class, the build to rent, new construction business model, renting to good renters, achieving cash flow and good returns for landlord. So keep that in mind. Build to rent model is up and coming. So, however, this is not all, hunky dory in Florida. As we all know, there are cracks in the foundation. The average home value in Florida fell by 1.8% year over year as of February 2025, bringing the average home price to around 385K. So this article mentioned the signals a recalibration of market dynamics. Right, investors should be cautious not to rely on appreciation alone as an investment thesis. Of course, when I teach my students and investors, when you buy investment property, it's investment property have many dimensions of profit, not just cash flow. So a lot of newbies, when they buy investment property, regardless of location, they think, oh, cash flow, cash flow. Yes, cash flow will hold the deal for you. We will maintain stability of your property, but income property have multi-dimensional aspects. You get rental rate increases, you get the tenants paying down your loan, you get long-term appreciation, you get some amazing tax benefits, and the whole 9 yards, right? So it's multiple dimensions. So that's my take on this particular paragraph. And of course, at the same time, Florida's property insurance market is facing structural challenges. Premium have skyrocketed in areas so much of the state, like I said, mainly in coastal areas, fueled by increased storm activity, rising claims, and a shrinking pool of insurers. That's true for single family rental owners. This reality isn't just a budget concern, it's an existential one. Woo. The rising cost of insurance, coupled with elevated property taxes and maintenance expenses, is forcing investors to reassess financial models, according to data from the Insurance Information Institute. So, while Florida is a landlord friendly environment, but the increased regulation of short-term rentals, I'm not involved in short-term rentals. So is in response to mounting affordability concerns. Yes, Florida housing prices have skyrocketed during the past few years. We all know that. But yep, so a market that requires discipline and long-term thinking, right? Not just investors and landlords, but primary home buyers have to think long term if they were to pull the trigger to buy a primary home to live. So Here's the takeaway from this article, and let me see if I see so I can make my own opinions. Successful investors will be those who stress test financial models to account for rising insurance premiums, property taxes, and capital expenditures. Avoid overpaying based on past rent growth trends, which may not continue. Identify markets with sustainable job and wage growth that can support ongoing rental demand. Take climate and natural disaster risk seriously, ensuring that properties are properly insured and resilient. Focus on long-term tenant relationships and build to rent strategies rather than short-term speculations. I agree from a high level. So stricter building codes and infrastructure projects aim at mitigating flooding and hurricane damage. So let me conclude by saying the Florida single-family home rental landscape is nuanced. Success will belong to those who do the work, ask the hard questions, and recognize that true resilience comes not from betting on easy returns, but from understanding the full picture. So that's what I've been practicing over the years. And that's how I been educating my investors of exactly what it says right here. So the in-migration from out of state have subsided, right? Because during the pandemic, we have some mass migration from people from all over the country moving into Florida, like upper Northeast, New York and New Jersey, and from California, where I live in the Bay Area right now. A lot of people are moving to Florida during the pandemic. But however, the migration have subsided, but still there are some elements of migration. People still coming over here. So, and Florida is a very large state, right? They are like what we are the third most populous state in the country, maybe I think. California is number one, New York or Texas number two, and Florida is number three. So there's a lot of people in Florida, and so there's some long term, a lot of potential in the future. But landlords and investors, you have to reset your expectation. In the past of rampant appreciation and skyrocketing rental increases, that's pretty much has subsided. But long term, if you invest for 5, 10, 15, or 20 years, if you take a long-term perspective, you buy in a good area, you buy away from the coastal area, you buy brand new constructions that meet all the safety codes out in regulations out there, your insurance rates will be very, very low. So contrary to what you've been hearing. So on the one hand is again the popular media, the mass media, and the social media. Everybody is just dishing on Florida. They say Florida housing is crashing and this and that is mass exodus. I mean, look, those are clickbait, doom and gloom news that is good for those the doomers, those crash posts out there. But at the end of the day, there are still opportunities. You have to do your research and due diligence, which I've been doing for many, many years. And I'm still very bullish. I'm still very bullish on a long-term Florida investment market for my investors. So, if I pivot back to homeowners, right? Homeowners, there are still some affordable homes located in Florida, but you have to know where to look. Like I said, in the central Florida and in parts of Northeast Florida, there's still a lot of opportunities. You still have low entry level homes still available, and insurance rates are very low, and the returns are it's going to be very, very stabilized. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. If you received any value whatsoever from this video, please like and subscribe and comment below. And also, if you have not already done so, please put your email on my website in my description here so you can become a free member of our real estate community. So each week in your email inbox, you will receive free real estate education about real estate investing, some great videos and great contents so you can learn more about how to become a real estate investor and so forth and so on. Thank you so much for watching. This is Si Wing Yi. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.